This is a crazy year in professional wrestling. This is actually going to happen. This match right here. It's not dirt sheets. It's not a spoiler. It is officially announced. Kenny Omega will take on Chris Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom 12. Why am I using this arena? Well, because on the PS4 Pro, I played at Not His Fan's house. It looked a lot better. So the PS4 Pro definitely did make a difference. Or maybe it was his TV. I don't know. But wow. Did you ever think you'd see Chris Jericho back in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring? I don't think I did. And to be honest with you, there's a couple different stories differing here on why this match is actually happening. Chris Jericho is currently not under contract to WWE, according to Dave Meltzer. And according to other people, apparently Chris Jericho, for those that don't know, he's doing a Rock and Wrestling tour. Apparently he asked WWE to use some NXT superstars for this trip. He wanted to have, wrestling on board. Well, WWE, one way or another, said they weren't interested. Chris Jericho would go to work with ROH and have a Sea of Honor tournament. I think that's so rad. Sea of Honor, Chris Jericho hosting it, hosted by Not His Fan Sports Gaming Universes, the same company that does all the Rock and Wrestling, or the Rock boats. Think of that. That's pretty crazy. At sea, seeing all your favorite wrestlers, hearing your favorite podcasters, wrestling stories, and all in one experience for those fans that are fans of wrestling and rock and roll music. But the thing is that surprises me the most is how awesome, one, the promo went, how crazy the Japanese audience popped for it, and how big of a deal this actually is in 2017. Because on the same day that Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho would basically announce and have confirmed that they're having a match, Triple H and Pete Dunne showed up an ICW show. And Triple H put over ICW. We're living in an age of professional wrestling right now where in a quarter where WWE lost 100,000 subscribers. Yes, they're still over the same amount of subscribers they had last year, but they've dropped 100,000. And it doesn't really make sense because they've had dream matches. Roman Reigns versus John Cena is like a dream match, but look what happened. Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar, another dream match, but yet they're losing subscribers. Why and how? How is this possible? How can you be losing subscribers with all these dream matches? I don't know if I have exactly the answers. I don't know if any of us do. But the professional wrestling landscape is changing. WWE is realizing they're working with other talents, other promotions outside the company. Triple H is allowing people to come in for short runs in NXT, whether it turns out to be something. Rumors about James Storm possibly being out of his contract now. Maybe it'd be great to see him back in WWE. It's a weird time to be a wrestling fan. And especially hearing all the rumors, dirt sheet spoilers, news about what is going to be, what's right or wrong. How did it happen? And the only thing I can think to myself is, does it really matter? The promo was phenomenal. I've heard some people, and we'll talk about this more later, is some people believe that age is an issue. How can Chris Jericho go over there? Some people are a little confused at how Chris is fighting in New Japan against Kenny Omega. Some that are hardcore Kenny Omega fans, which I get this. Some had speculated he would be eventually fighting for the title, that he was just kind of holding water until the pay-per-view. He was just kind of, sitting by waiting. He's one of the hottest acts in professional wrestling right now. Why is Chris Jericho coming over to fight him? Does it make sense? And as a fan, my simple answer has to be, does it really matter? I couldn't be happier, to be honest with you, to see Chris Jericho, the guy who has been WWE pretty much for life. I mean, obviously WCW and, other promotions, but for the most part, he's wrestled in WWE. He is WWE. And to see him go outside, this is a huge step. New Japan announced they were coming back to the United States with more shows. They do work with Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, trying to get him to work with them, and they're like, no, sorry, I don't think so, man. To think about all this that's going on right now in the WWE, people hearing backstage rumors about everything, whether people are over, whether they're getting buried, their pushes, whether they're getting fired, the WWE releases, everything that's happening. And I think we all get caught up too much in it, just to take a step back and realize the magnitude of this match. Well, we all sit and debate, and not everybody. I don't want to lump everybody into this, but I want to say this because it is a weird thing to actually see and witness. If you watch the promo, and if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. After the Kenny Omega match, Chris Jericho had this promo where he held up this photo, and my man didn't even center it. He didn't even put it on glossy paper. He just had Kenny Omega front and center. Alpha and Omega is the build. The best in the world. Chris Jericho would go to name drop Shawn Michaels, CM Punk. And if you think about this, this is kind of a big deal. I mean, one, because CM Punk actually beat Chris Jericho during the feud. I mean, so technically, Chris, you're second, not really the best in the world because we know Punk is. I'm joking. That's sarcasm. But Chris Jericho not coming back to WWE in a run that, you know, he says it himself. He will not come back unless there's something he can sink his teeth into. So is this a one-off? Is he just a New Japan? Is this leading to something bigger and better within the WWE? Are we going to see a New Japan invasion? Because I've been speculating this for quite a while. If you've listened to the commentary lines in WWE TV, the way Sami Zayn has been dropping promos on SmackDown ever since his, I don't want to say turn, but his slow change in the WWE after helping Kevin Owens, you see this different side of him. You see, you know, the commentary come out, and you see really the frustrations and the pent-up aggression that a lot of superstars in the WWE have. We see the Shield reuniting. We see a possible Finn Balor losing to Kane. Maybe he gets too upset and he's at this point where eventually he just loses it and then he reforms the Bullet Club. This is an incredible time to be a wrestling fan, because even if you don't like WWE, even if you're one of the fans that, you know, you love wrestling and you keep watching WWE week in and week out because you love wrestling, but you're just not getting what you want from the TV product, yet you continue to watch it, I highly suggest you check out some other programming. I highly suggest you check out other wrestling promotions. And I highly suggest you at least check out this match. I hear a lot of people complain all the time, especially when Dave Meltzer gives matches in New Japan. High scores, especially Kenny Omega getting that 6.5 stars. But you have to realize, if you actually go watch some of their matches, the fact that these guys have had series before, they continue to follow up in the matches. And the best way I analyze this from a WWE wrestling fan's perspective was like Christian versus Randy Orton. By the time that series ended, a simple RKO, the reversals, everything had to be taken up a step. Everything had to go up a next level. Everything had to keep chugging along. And the spots that used to make people pop, well, they weren't working anymore. You had to keep going. In WWE, you know, during matches, I feel like we're being trained to say, this is awesome. We don't actually, except for a few instances as of late, have that true experience to sit back and go, this is awesome. But this, to me, is one of those matches. Now, I'll be honest with you. Am I going to buy New Japan Wrestle Kingdom? I don't know. If a buddy watches it, I will absolutely watch it. I think this is one of those matches in wrestling history that when Triple H and the WWE turned down an option to be on a cruise with Chris Jericho, one of the WWE's longest time stars, with Fozzy, everything that Chris Jericho's done for the business, it makes me ask questions. And I don't want to. I just want to think that Chris Jericho had one of the best opportunities available to him. New Japan wanted him. Chris Jericho wanted him. It's speculated. It's been in the works since August. But you have to wonder. You just have to sit back and go, if Chris Jericho, the guy that did everything for WWE, is there a chance this is leading to something bigger and better? You know Triple H, unlike other people in the company, understand that this business needs other avenues to survive. They've got deals with Progress, ICW, Evolve, WWN. Triple H understands it. And I don't know if it's just Triple H. Could you imagine that after all this time we find out it's actually Vince and this is just him taking all the credit? I think right now is that age of wrestling, and especially when you finally see this match, that makes you question it. Now, I put out a crazy prediction that Chris Jericho would possibly go on to face Kenny Omega in WWE. Now, I know what you're saying. That's crazy. Well, look where AJ Styles was when AJ Styles came over to the WWE. Nobody thought he was coming, and then he surprised up at the Rumble. Could you imagine whether or not Kenny Omega wins? I said, okay, Chris Jericho could possibly beat Kenny Omega in New Japan. Now, if you are a fan of the New Japan Pro Wrestling build and you know how Kenny's been booked and you've seen Kenny's style and everything that Kenny's done in New Japan, everything he's helped transform, growing the American audience, Bullet Club, everything that the Elite is doing, and I can't stress this enough, the Elite in the professional wrestling world is doing bigger and better things than I never thought we could get to that point as wrestling fans. they're almost starting to bring back that mainstream attention somewhat. And for a simple reason. They do outlandish stuff. They're great wrestlers. They know how to get themselves over. And most importantly, they just understand business. Because that's what this is. This is business. So whether this was WWE turning down a great opportunity to work with a guy that's been one of their straw horses, one of the guys that has helped carry the company for years, one of the most dependable people, but you couldn't even send superstars. It was too big of a deal. Is that really the true story? Is Jericho going to win? Is Jericho going to ever come back to WWE? Is this a one-off thing? Is Kenny Omega coming to WWE? These are a lot of unanswered questions right now. But I've watched that promo now 6 times. And I get goosebumps. I think about it. And I just imagine, what if? What if Kenny Omega was coming to WWE? And I know a lot of people go, well, look at what happens to other superstars that come. They may not get the biggest and best builds. And I understand that. There's a lot of frustrations with that. There's some people that think Kenny Omega would be ruined in WWE. There's no way he could come. Look at how big he's been built. They're just going to throw it all away. But the simple answer I say to you is, if Chris Jericho brings Kenny Omega back to the WWE, you could start a war that could eventually change professional wrestling for good. We've been talking about a Bullet Club invasion, an Elite invasion. What about an ROH or a New Japan Pro Wrestling invasion? What if we all realized in this day and age, wrestling is a shrinking community? I hate to say it, and I don't want to be one of those people, because it's true. Wrestling is shrinking. The audiences are going down, and we're putting blame on one person or one company or one thing, or we're saying this kills the business or that kills the business, or this should be done. But at the end of the day, it's about these moments that make you go, I can't believe it. And Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega is one of those moments. To me, when I saw the video, I went, holy shit. Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Wrestle Kingdom 12. Let me know what you guys think.